What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical average American here today to react and learn about European football explained in 4 simple steps. So hopefully, even my American brain can understand this. Because, like most Americans, I have absolutely no idea what's going on when it comes to football in Europe. So I'm actually really curious to finally kind of learn about this and how it all works and why it's so popular and all that stuff. So with that being said, let's take a look.
Welcome to Understanding Soccer in Europe in 4 Simple Steps.
Okay.
A guide for Americans.
Okay.
Although from the outside it may seem complex and confusing, to understand how soccer works in Europe, you really only need to know 4 things.
Okay.
Number 1. Each country has its own soccer league.
Each country has its own soccer league. This is point number 1. Step number 1 to understanding European football. Each country has its own league. Okay, this is good. This is good stuff because I've heard this word before, league. And I've never really understood what that meant. Like all these leagues in Europe, these different soccer, football leagues in Europe, and why there so many and what they mean and who's in charge of them. Sometimes I hear about famous football players being signed to different teams or leagues and all that stuff. So this might seem so obvious to European football fans out there, but trust me, this is good stuff. Every country has its own league. Every European country. That must mean there are so many different leagues. And then within the leagues, there must be teams? And do the leagues play against each other? Or maybe we'll get deeper into this. Okay.
Seasons run from August to May, in which each team plays every other team twice, once at home and once on the road. Games are divided into 2 45-minute halves, and when the game is over, the winner is awarded 3 points, the loser 0, and in the event of a tie, each team gets 1 point.
Whoa. Okay. This is going by very quickly for me. There's leagues. Every country has a league, has a schedule. It goes throughout the year. There are teams within the league that play each other once at home and once on the road, okay?
Seasons run from August to May, in which each team plays every other team twice, once at home and once on the road.
Okay.
Games are divided into 2 45-minute halves, and when the game is over, the winner is awarded 3 points.
Okay, this confused me a little bit. This whole video is just going to be me a bit confused, but that's okay. I think we're going to get through it. So, football matches are 90 minutes total. I didn't actually know that. I know there were 2 halves, but that's good to know. 2 45-minute halves. You score points throughout a football game, or football match. But what they're talking about here, you get 3 points for winning. So does this have something to do with, like, league points? They're not being super specific here. I'm having to extrapolate a little bit. If you win a football match in your league, your team gets 3 points. Is this like some kind of team standing in the league or something? It's calculated this way? That would make sense.
The loser 0, and in the event of a tie, each team gets 1 point.
Okay.
After each team has played all the other teams twice, the team with the most points is crowned champion of the league.
Okay. That's exactly what it is. Perfect. I think we're back on track. I know what we're talking about. Wow, I had no idea it worked this way. That's actually really interesting. Now I feel like if I actually heard about like a league, I don't know, being an American, when I would hear about a European football league, but if that happened, and points and standings were mentioned, now I feel like I would actually understand what you're talking about, which is great.
You get a big trophy, a parade, and the season is over.
Really? So there's no, like, tournament, in a sense. Well, I guess the entire season is like a tournament, but there's no, like, semifinal and final between the 2 teams with the most points. It's just determined by how well you did throughout the entire season that year. and whoever won the most matches is the champion that year, basically. It's like that. Okay, I didn't know that it was determined like that. Okay.
Is crowned champion of the league. They get a big trophy, a parade, and the season is over.
Okay.
There are no playoffs.
Yeah, there's no playoffs. There's no playoffs. Like there's no seeds, there's no brackets, there's no like, hyped up final like the World Cup or something, I had no idea that's how it worked.
Sort of. But more on that in a minute. Before the books are closed on the season, there is still one small bit of housekeeping to be done. Number 2, relegation. We'll use the German League as an example.
Okay.
Every year, when the German League has concluded and the champion has been crowned, the 3 teams with the least amount of points are kicked out of the league. This process is known as relegation.
Whoa. Wow, that is. Oh my God. I thought there was enough pressure with professional sports to just try to do well and maybe have a good ranking or maybe win the league for the year. But there's this whole pressure I didn't know about. A pressure to not end up in the bottom 3 of your league or you're going to be kicked out? How are the teams determined? Are they from different... I imagine they're from different areas or regions around your country. Maybe different cities and towns around the country would make up the league. And the bottom 3 are just kicked out? You're just removed? What happens to those teams? Are they destroyed? Are they disbanded? What happens? You're just kicked out?
The 3 vacant spots are subsequently filled by the top 3 teams from Germany's 2nd division.
Oh, I actually like this. This is kind of like Cutthroat, but it's actually really cool because it gives you an opportunity, if you're in the 2nd division, to work your way up. If you're good enough as a team, you can work your way up to the main pro league, if I don't know what you call it. So it makes sure that like fresh new talent that's good makes its way to the best of the best leagues. That makes so much sense. I like this.
And unlike, say, baseball in the US, teams in the 2nd and subsequent divisions are not owned by teams in the top division. Imagine if the Pittsburgh Pirates or Oakland Raiders had to fight at the end of each season just to stay in the league. What if instead of coasting to the bottom for better draft picks, they were fighting to the bitter end to avoid the $40 million revenue loss that relegated teams suffer in the first year alone?
Wow. Yeah, this system really, really incentivizes you to do well, to not, like, purposefully do bad, which I guess you might do in some American sports, to get better draft picks next year. The worse you do, the better earlier draft pick you get for your team to draft new players. This incentivizes you to try your hardest. Because if somehow you end up in those bottom 3, like it's huge. It's devastating.
Not to mention the fact that in England, 9 different teams have gone financially insolvent within 5 years of relegation. Okay,
wow.
Interesting enough, you're thinking.
Wow. That's cutthroat, but that's cool.
What about that whole lack of playoffs part?
Yeah.
Number 3. Each country also holds an elimination-style tournament, referred to as a cup.
Oh, okay. Because I've heard this word before, like a cup or something. This is great. This video is actually clearing up so many little things that I've heard throughout my lifetime here and there about football stuff, but never really understood. This is great. So there's the league and like, I don't know what you call it, the league championship or the league winner or what have you. And then separately, there's this cup, which is more of like a normal tournament style.
But instead of being held after the 9-month league is over, cup games are scheduled in between league games, normally in the middle of the week.
What?
One additional perk about the cup system is that teams from all levels, down to semi-professional and even some amateur teams, are invited to play. And
Whoa. This is so interesting. I never knew what I was missing out on. This is actually so interesting. I love how this is designed. Although it's a little strange to me that the cup matches are scheduled throughout the year during the league, in between league matches. That's a lot of football. and for different things throughout the year. I guess that kind of keeps it fresh throughout the year. Maybe it kind of keeps it like exciting throughout the year. And they allow all of the different divisions to participate in the cup. So sometimes you might get like a super underdog actually do well, and that's really exciting. You give an opportunity to some of these lower division teams to try to make like the run of a lifetime and maybe do well against or do an upset against a pro team.
If they do well, can progress, and occasionally even knock off a top team. So every year, these midweek elimination games continue until there are only 2 teams left.
That's really cool. I really like that. I don't think there's anything really like that in American sports, where amateur or like junior division or just lower division teams get to compete against the top professional teams. That's really interesting. That's really cool, actually.
Play each other in the cup final. After 90 minutes, a cup champion is crowned. They get a trophy and a parade.
Okay. So there is like, because I was wondering about this, there is something separate, like a tournament, a cup championship. Does the league champion ever also become the cup champion? Like they win both, or is that really rare?
So, between the league and cup games, we get a great picture of who the best and worst teams in each country are.
Yeah.
But wait a second, you ask. What would happen if the best teams from each country in Europe all got together and played each other?
Yeah.
Good idea. Number 4. The resultant competition is called the UEFA Champions League.
Really? Okay. See, I've only just heard of like the term league. I don't know the names of any of these leagues or the UEFA, UEFA Champions League. I've heard of Champions League. I don't know what that is, but this is great. So this is the best teams from all of the different countries in Europe compete against each other, which sounds amazing. That I am very happy that they do that. I was pretty sure different teams from different countries must play each other like outside of the World Cup, but I didn't know for sure. But they do, and it's called the Champions League.
And it is without a doubt the single greatest club competition of any sport anywhere in the world, period.
Club? That's another word I don't understand, like a football club. I don't really understand what that term means. I've heard that before, a club. We don't use that word here in America for sports, so I'm not sure what that is.
Think of the NCAA tournament, but with better quality of play, more than double the fan base, and quadruple the enthusiasm. And yes, Europe even has their own version of the NIT as well. So, through a complex and drawn-out process, teams from all over Europe compete just to qualify for this tournament. And starting each September, the top 32 teams are put into 8 groups of 4.
Oh, this is a tournament. This is not a league that's happening throughout the year. This is like maybe the club champions or the league champions and the cup champions from each country. Do they get to participate in this Champions League, or I'm not sure how they decide there's only 32 spots.
Each team plays the other members of its group 2 times, once at home and once on the road.
Okay.
Come December, the winner and runner-up from each group move on to the knockout round.
Okay.
And this is where club soccer is at its finest.
Okay. Wow, there is a ton of football. There is so much football. Is there like an off season for European football? This is so much stuff now that I understand all the different leagues and cups.
Teams are paired up individually and again play 1 home and 1 away game, with the winner from each pair moving on to the next round until only 2 teams remain. The Champions League final is then held as a single game each year in May. And unless it's the World Cup year, this is the most important soccer game of the year.
Wait. It's May right now when I'm making this video. So the Champions League final, like, did that already happen? Did that happen? Who won this? That just happened? See, that gives you the perfect idea of just how in touch we are here in America. I had no idea that there was a Champions League final happening this month. I have not heard anything about this. Nothing at all.
each year in May. And unless it's the World Cup year, this is the most important soccer game of the year.
Ah.
After 90 minutes, a champion is crowned, the trophy is awarded, parades commence, and all clubs go on break until the madness fires back up again in August.
Oh, there is an off season. May, June, July, 4 months off. Okay, that makes sense. You got to have some time off during the year, right? Even for football. Wow. This has been a really, really good video. I'm impressed. Like, I think I totally get it. And I'm so glad this is explaining how the leagues and clubs and cups and the championships work. Because that's really the stuff I don't understand or didn't understand. And most Americans don't understand about European football. Like, we play soccer here in America. I pretty much understood how the game is played, but I had no idea how any of this other stuff worked.
So, to review, number 1, each country has its own league.
Yes.
Number 2, the worst teams are kicked out of the league and replaced by the best teams from the next division down.
Right.
Number 3, throughout the year, each country also holds a playoff-type tournament called a cup. And number 4, the UEFA Champions League is a tournament involving all of Europe and is the most important competition in all of club soccer.
That's crazy because I've never even really heard of the UEFA, EUFA. I've heard of FIFA. Like, what is FIFA? There's like a video game, right? FIFA, like World Cup, or I don't know. I've never heard of the UEFA, even though it sounds like it's like the biggest league in Europe. Wow. The end. Wow. Okay. Fantastic. That was so well done. This video was made by Pen and Paper, and I got to give it a like because I like that a lot, and I really genuinely feel like my interest in European football, you know, as an American, it's never on here. You really got to go out of your way to watch it, but I would be more inclined to do that now that I understand, like, what's going on and what is at stake and how it all works. This was really interesting for me, truly. I enjoyed this quite a bit. Anyway, if you enjoyed this as well, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment with your thoughts on European football and how it works. And if you think this was a good description of how it all works, that'd be real interesting to hear about. And if you're interested in more videos like this, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.